We are here. Oh my gosh. Where are we at?
How you doing? We're at Mr. Cutlery. I'm Ryan Swanson, heart of Washington, D.C. This is my little home away from home, selling some of the finest cutlery in the world. Doing some world-class sharpening here, some whetstones, some grinders, taking care of customers. You know, just helping everybody stay sharp. Happy to give you a tour. We can come on in, we can check out some of our wares. I've got some nice stuff right now. The shelves aren't stocked. Things do move quickly in here, but happy to give you guys a tour. I'm happy to be here.
Okay. All right, so what do we have over here?
First is our sharpening station, right? This is where the magic happens. Got a couple grinders, which you'll see. Some whetstone setup. Pretty simple stones. I do have a collection of stones that I don't use. They collect dust. I've got a lot of some neck knives, some ZTs, some pocket knives, some of our custom knives, some of the higher end stuff. I've got a couple knives in here. A couple knives sitting next to my Ricardo knives, which I think is pretty awesome.
I think it's pretty awesome myself.
And come on in, I can give you the tour. Again, we're a small shop, but I've got 3 cases full of carbon steel blades. Got a bunch of Jameson chop here. Some of the Buteki guys from Carter Cutlery, which they do some of the best stuff in the country, in my opinion. A couple of Yanagis, Shiraki-san. Some lefties too, which you don't see too often. A bunch of ironclad, Tanafusi, some stainless clad, white steel, blue steel. So this is our 3 cases of carbon steel blades, which we say that's how they're organized. It's pretty simple. Again, wide range of prices depending what you're looking for, depending on the maker. But we're looking for like value for performance, right? So a lot of Fujiwara people like. Got a couple Sajis down here. Ashis are nice. The Atetsus, Mkustas we're a big fan of. It's one of our favorite factory productions actually. Some of our stainless, so we got 2 cases of stainless steel blades too. What do I got here? We got Town Cutler, American maker, very skilled, good company to work with, very good performance for the price. Sukanari, some of the Masakagi guys, Itetsu. What do I get down there? Again, Ashi Hamono, very nice performance for the money. They're AEBL and white number 2, ridiculous performance. Kurosaki-san, big fan of Kurosaki. Everybody wants Kurosaki right now. We had the honor of meeting him here at the shop, came to DC.
Are you serious right now?
Yeah, we gave him a tour of the White House. We went to Chef Jose Andres mini bar. Jose Andres gave us like private drink. So,
nice.
Oh, dude, this is a whole other story, man.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, we had all the guys. Shibata-san was here, so all the Masakagi guys were here. Yoshimi Kato, Nomura-san, Kurosaki-san, and Shibata-san were here. We had a forging demo up back. We lit the forge with the forge. They were doing the hammering. We let people come in and do that stuff with them. It was a really great time. That was like our 7th anniversary party. Sunahisas are good. We love them. We got some of the Kramer's original. Alex Horn is a talented smith. This is our stainless Alex Horn. He's using AEBL here. I've got his hand-forged carbon AEBL. Now where are those Alex Horn knives? Some of his hand-forged. He's forged in Firewinter. All right, Alex Horn, super talented smith. These are his self-laminated blades. Probably some pre-laminated stuff too. Very talented. Any guys that comes out of Carter is super talented. What else do I got here? Some of my pocket knives, some ZTs. What do I got here? Don Carlos Andrade, California custom knives, beautiful artistic blades. Jameson chop, that's my Murray Carter. Big inspiration for us, can't speak highly enough. A couple of DC customs that I made. Wider blades, backyard DC made. What else do I got? Got a couple of shuns up front, a lot of the production shuns, people ask for them. Good performance for the money. Everyone knows shun. Tojiro, people want Tojiro. My lights aren't working here. People want value for the money, Tojiro's the way to go. It's just like great stainless steel, really good grind, sharp out of the box. All right, so I know this is a sharpening channel, but like not everyone is proficient at sharpening. So if you
it's not a sharpening channel, it's a knife knowledge channel.
Knife knowledge channel. So what I like about Tojiro is they're always sharp out of the box. All right, so if you want to get something and just get right to it, that's good to have. Now, if you do buy anything from my shop, what we specialize in, we make sure it's sharp to go, all right? So some knives are sharp out of the box, like Takamura, ridiculous, right? We never have to touch them up. Some knives are better than others, and you know, things happen in packaging and they might not be where we like it. We have a pretty high standard. So we make sure with everything, put it on the stone, buff it out in the grinder if need be, remove any polishes, and just make sure that your finished product, when you get it, is sharp out of the box, and you can treat it how you like. But your first impression of the knife should be as is intended, which is sharp as always. So we do knives here. I've got a multi-$1,000 5-hedge scissor sharpening machine. You want to take a look at this thing? We should should spend a minute on this.
As long as the battery allows it, it's gonna be dead soon.
I know this is a knife channel. Please be plugged in.
It's a sharp edge.
It's a knife knowledge. But this is sharpening, all right? You got rough, medium, fine, reverse plate for deburring, felt pad for also polishing deburring. You get a custom-made jig here, doing your angle. You want to do convex edges? Boom. That's how you do convex. You rough, medium, fine. This thing cranks, all right? Or you can tune it down.
Yep.
All right. It's the best machine on the market.
And he's catching up on his reading.
There we go. I'm gonna write a book like that someday.
And we got some pricing here for services.
Yep. So this reflects on our living in DC, but reflects our quality of work. All right. So bringing a bunch, it seems to average $12 per blade. You know, it's 10 to 14 generally.
And this is where we store the jobs that are to be done.
Yeah, we got some knives up here. Takeda. Everyone loves Takeda. Sharpen this Takeda. Greg, you were supposed to do this.
Okay, I'll do it before I leave.
You're supposed to do this. There we go. I got Shibata sound, the custom handle that we made. Random 270 Fujiwara Mabaroshis on the board. Just, I think we were demoing this.
Oh my gosh.
Swedish steel.
That's the Jason knife.
Yeah, this is FDeek.
This is
super reputable German knife. I do have a Swedish steel blade. Wow.
This is all Jason Friday the 13th
it's
stuff,
just
right?
got this monster recurve in here.
Oh my gosh,
to fix. So I'll have to take this down, thin it out. This is a gift from our friend Jeff out in the Northwest. We love you, Jeff. All right, so this customer just brought these in. All right.
Okay.
So now they're thick. All right. So when you assess it, right, you gotta. This is the biggest thing in my shop. When the knives come in, I'm gonna pull my fingers off it and see the thickness. I'm gonna look at this laminate line here, right? You see the laminate line? Everyone should know what that is.
Yep.
When this is close to the edge, that's generally a telltale sign that the knife is thick, right? Because that's not where it was when it came to the factory, right?
Right.
Yeah. See this right here? You can barely see the cladding line right there, right? It's just below there. I just look at that immediately and be like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to thin this down a little bit and grind it down.
Okay. So what would your process be for that?
Put it on the grinder. I'm gonna show you. That's what they're there. We're gonna have a lesson.
So what belt is that on there right there for that?
This is a finishing belt, 45 micron Trizac from 3M. Really nice finishing belt. It's like super even grain. I don't even know the technology behind that.
What's the life of that belt?
Best ever, dude. Best ever. I don't know. I could do edges with edge work, like the belts will last for like a really long time. But if you're thinning down a blade and you're trying to polish the side of the knife, well, you're using so much more of it, right? And you're cutting the lifetime in half. But honestly, dude, I don't go through many of these. These last a really long time. Your rough belts, your coarse belt, this is 80 grit. I get my belts from Klingspor, which is their red ceramic. This is the closest I get to the Norton Blaze, which in my opinion is like, this is I like these dudes a lot. These are my homeboys. Right. And they're a good company, and they're just like, I need belts.
What's their name again?
Klingspor. So Klingspor, all right? I think it's Spur. It's the Spur. It's German for something Spur, right? So call them up. I need some belts. They're here in like 2 days. All right, that's what I need. I'm a high volume shop. You know, sometimes I forget to order. Right, there's all my belts out here, and I'm like, oh, I need a fresh 240, and I'm out. Bro, hook me up, and they're prompt. And, I like that. I appreciate that customer service. But these, if you're grinding knives, like this is good for one knife to get a real good finish on it. And I can keep it to grind edges. Right, I can still just do edge work on it. If I have chips I need to reprofile, I can certainly use this. But if I got heavy grinding like on these, it's best it saves you time and it reduces the heat to have a fresh belt on there. You know what I mean? Like, so I've got some 60s and some 80s. Then I got like 120, 240, 500, some like super fine micron belts. I've got up to 9 micron, which I get from these trizecs I got from Cliff Curry Custom Cutlery. You know Cliff, right? Yeah. So that's what I like. It's just, and we're gonna go through all the sorts of different finishes and what sort of looks like what, like ceramic versus what is this? Aluminum oxide, silicon carbide, the Trizak, which Cliff will be mad at me that I don't know what that is, but I think it's silicon carbide too.
We're 4K right now.
Oh really?
We're 4K at 24 frames per second.
So
I don't have all the lights set up, but we're good.
I've got an ice bath here, all right? So I can just like, you know, a belt will overheat your knife. I remember earlier I was like, don't worry, it won't overheat your knife. But if you have it sitting on it for a period of time or you do enough passes, surely it's gonna heat up. So I'll generally like do a pass or two. Now, when you have it and your fingers are on the blade, that's why guys who are like that or guys who wear gloves, like, you have to be able to feel if the blade's getting hot, right? Like,
okay.
So that's why you have your fingers here, and you'll feel it. Oh, okay, it's getting a little warm. You know, well, you just fucking cool it off real quick. I like to swear, so that's part of this.
No, but that's awesome. I mean, this is YouTube. This isn't, you know, PBS.
So, all right, I'll just put it in my ice bath, and then go again, and then do the other side. So, you got to keep your blades cool, but if you don't have like a water-cooled fancy machine, then just get some ice and just dip it in every other pass.
Now, are we keeping it cool for heat treatment reasons or warping reasons? Like, what are we
for heat treat, you don't want to ruin the temper, and you have to hold it, right? If you don't want to burn the knife because you ruin the temper, right?
Okay.
All right, so
again, there are people watching right now who don't know shit.
Okay, it's a true story, right? I'll generally run 60 or 80 grit. So I've got some coarser 50 Cubitrons. It's sort of too rough. These really don't need it, so you want like kind of the finer grain. This is a fresh belt, so it's nice and coarse. As I said earlier, like if you're a pro, you'll know. You try. You don't want to see all these belts; they're all worn, but you sort of want to like hold on to them. You know, you don't want to throw them away because maybe you'll use them. But you got a tough job ahead. All right, this is too. You know, I'll be grinding to cladding mostly, which is softer. They're not like Hanyaki or mono steel carbon blades. But you want to start fresh. You start with a fresh 80, and then you go with a fresh 120, and go with a fresh 240.
That's for both these knives? Like every knife?
No, I could probably do both. I'll do both. You know, I'll do both on the 80, and then I'll do both on the 120. And then
these are done or just saved for like little
You'll
things?
save them because, you know, this will probably still be coarser than one of these, so I kind of like, you cull them, or what's the fucking word? Like, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Are sparks gonna start flying in a second?
Oh yeah, it's gonna be loud. All right, so I got like a dust collection, right? Like it's not perfect, but it definitely, trust me, it definitely helps. I got a big ass blower down here. All right, which goes. This is what's I got the so there's the blower. All right, then I got the air filters here, which probably need to be changed. Here's all my stones, by the way. We can talk about stones. You think I don't use stones? I got a shit ton of stones down here. So that's sort of it. So we can get started. I'm gonna go for it. So I'll see. The thing to note, all right. So when you're grinding, we talked about the cladding line.
Right.
What you're gonna see, here's the cladding line now. All right. When I'm done, you'll notice the cladding line will be up here. All right, because you're grinding knives to the side. Now these Grantins, these hollow grinds, these will probably be gone.
Okay.
All right, you grind them away. I explained that to the customer. Hey, it's gonna look a little bit different, but
it's gonna work.
All right, you know, you can have Grantins or you can have a knife that works. And which one is it? So it's a no-brainer, right?
Okay.
The knife is a tool. It's supposed to cut things. So it's like this number one job. So I have
the mask actually came in handy, right?
Right. Now it's funny. Some people say this probably isn't good enough for grinding dust, but You know, it's probably good enough for COVID, right?
There you
We're
go.
not getting that out. I try to stay apolitical.
Power on, folks.
So that's the blower. It's pretty good. Crank this. The reason these belts is like a little bit of wobble. I don't know what that is. So I got the tracking here. And you just sort of got to go for it, you know? You got to go all in. Right, so there we go, right? So I'm trying to mimic like how the Japanese grind, what they call it. They've got a shinogi line, right? I'll cut in the bevel. And then we'll go through and I'll show you. Then I'm gonna like get rid of that bevel because this knife didn't have a bevel, right? So I'm gonna get rid of it. But you sort of cut it in. That will reduce the edge geometry here, and then sort of like slightly thin it up upside the blade. So now that's not even, that's barely even warm. You see, it's not like it's fine. That's the thing with fresh belts too. Notice what I'm doing. I'm doing a pass and I'm looking.
Yeah.
Okay? You have to know what you're doing. Your eyes and your hands have to work in concert. I'm not just having it on there and hoping for the best, right? Everything you do has to have a purpose. And you can see these strands already, they're disappeared, right?
Oh, yeah. You actually alter your hand. You don't turn it up, you know.
I'm sorry?
You have to become ambidextrous.
Yeah, you can't go edge up or you'll be able to kill yourself. But we're gonna do some whetstone sharpening too, and you better be. I know a lot of people aren't, but
I'm ambidextrous.
there we go. Thank you. I'm left-handed by nature. Now, you don't want to grind it all the way to where you want it, because you still have to go through the progression of belts.
Okay.
Okay, so if I get it to exactly where I want it, well, now I got to grind to 120, and then it's going to be too thin. All right, and if you grind this to 0, which means like there is no edge and the two sides come together, well, you're going to start messing up your profile here, right? You're going to start grinding it away, and then you're going to have these recurves. And let me tell you, that's hard. Those are hard to get out. You can see where that laminate line is already. Alright, so I know I said I was going to do them both, but what you do before you do anything is that you want to cut in your edge. So therefore you cut in your edge, you get a burr, and you have like you'll establish your edge, your primary cutting edge geometry. But then you'll see how wide the bevel is going to be. All right, the thicker the blade, the wider the bevel is going to be.
Okay.
So you cut it in, and then you go to the next belt, and then you work it down. You work the sides of the blade down to how wide the edge should be. All right, this is making sense a little bit, kind of.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're looking at you. Yep.
So now I'll just put an edge on there. Again, light.
I can see there's a big angle. You're doing like you're
That's right.
further off the belt right now.
Yeah. So this is like, I don't know, 15 degrees or whatever. We're gonna talk about angles too.
Yeah.
But it's just like, that doesn't matter so much, right? Like, it does matter, but like, if I'm at 15 or 16, whatever, right? People are gonna hate that I said that. I know it, but it's the way it is.
Don't you know that 10 is 16 degrees, damn it?
That's the thing. When you're sharpening your knife, you can do whatever you want. There's no rules, right? It depends what you want to do with it.
You want. You bought the knife. It's your knife.
My rule of thumb, because of everything's freehand, is that like really good steel, well, you have a low angle. Somewhat decent steel, you have a medium angle. Crappy like Chinese stuff that's just like softer, well, you put a high angle, and you just try to compromise performance versus longevity, right? You want your customers to be happy because they want to be like, oh yeah, it's so sharp, but you don't want it to be sharp for a day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a value in there that people have to do.
I think you're doing one pass on each side.
Yeah. So now, all right. So now I have a burr and the edges cut in, and like, and now you can see. All right. So that also reveals. So I got a little chip right in here, right?
Okay. Yep.
So I want to make sure I get that out. So I'll just do a couple more passes here. Until that chip is out, which generally, if it's corrosion on some of these shunts, I'm sure everybody knows that, they get pitted and corrosion when they stay wet. So sometimes it doesn't just tunnel through this way, it'll tunnel up into the blade.
Okay.
All right, so the chip keeps coming. You're like, well, I'm grinding the shit out of this knife. Why is this chip keep happening? It's because the corrosion is going in.
Nice. And it's just your preference that your heel should tip versus tip to heel?
Yeah, I don't know why I do that. It just feel like, you know, the knife's generally thinner up by the tip if you have a distal taper, right? The knife's thinner there, so it's more likely you're gonna overgrind it here. And I can sort of see better, but I think that's just a preference. I never thought about it so much, you know. But when I sharpen on stones, I sharpen the heel too, so.
Okay.
Where are we here? Jeez Louise. See, I'm using a worn belt right here. That's probably what's taking so long, because I'm cheap. I might be able to. I'll give you a lesson. Just if the belt's worn, just throw it away. There you go. All right. So can you hear that? That's all. Yeah.
That's practice. What would a belt cost someone?
It's like $4, you know what I mean? It's just like this is probably, honestly, these AOs, aluminum oxides, are super cheap. Maybe this is like $3.50 or something like that. So like,
so the customer's paying for the belt too.
That's exactly right. And that's why it's like, I mean, it adds up in the long run, right? Like, okay, it's only $3.50, don't be cheap, just like throw it away, use a fresh belt, but like, you go through 1,000 or so belts a year, that shit adds up, you know what I mean?
Yes.
All right, so now what did I do? So I cut in the edge, all the chips are out. Now you can see the width of the edge, the bevel is fairly wide. All right, so what I can do is take that down a little bit. Now this was a fresh 120. I could probably use that. Now when it comes to finishing your blade, right now I've sort of thinned it out. Now the grind is a little bit uneven, right? Oh, there's not many grindings here, and there's a little bit more here. So that looks a little bit weird, but like, am I gonna go ahead and grind this off just to make it even?
Just curious. This is a $10 cost on this. What would this sharpening for this blade be?
I charge $40 for these two knives.
Okay.
$80, so I charge $40 each.
Each.
All right. Well,
because this isn't a sharpening. This is a reprofiling.
Normal, yeah, it's a rethinning.
thinning.
I'm not really reprofiling because like
Right,
this
right,
is the profile, right? So I'm thinning the blade. That's what I'm doing.
Yep.
Thinning it out because knives need to be thinned out sometimes. So you don't want to over thin it. So it's pretty close to where it is. Yes, that's a little bit uneven, but from the factory, right? This side was a little bit less. So let's just
Right, you're right. Good.
These ceramic ones are like $8 a piece. My Scotch-Brite belts are like 15. So, but they last a long time and they're worth it because they put a nice finish on your knife.
What do you think about all this, Chad?
I love it. I absolutely love it. He knows what he's doing.
Living the life.
Yeah. Yeah.
How many knives can you sharpen in a day, Ryan?
Not as many as you think. All right, so Dylan's big job here, right, is like wrapping the knives up for me, right? Like I can sharpen a whole order in 10 minutes, but it also takes me 10 minutes to wrap them. So if I have someone doing that for me, it's just like it speeds up the process. So I think our record in the shop was like 160 knives in and out the door, which is like pretty good, you know what I mean? And that's
You
like
open at what time?
that's on a weekend we're here 10 to 6. But you have to remember, I'm not like, if I'm just here on the grinder for 8 hours, I can sharpen a ton of knives, but I gotta talk to my customers too, right? So it's 160 knives a day, plus probably selling a few grand worth of inventory. So I know I said I was gonna do both at a time, but I'll just do one at a time, just because that's where we are. In fact, I'm gonna come back to that 80, because it could be a little bit thinner for my taste. So I'm judging this by the width of the small little primary edge, right?
Yeah. And who are we voting for student council? Is it student council?
No, town council.
Town council.
Town
Let's
council.
make sure we got her.
Carrie, what
belts are we on right now?
this is 45 micron Trizac, which I think is like 400 maybe. They consider it a 400. You should establish your edge geometry with your rough belt, and then so like an 80 or a 60 and 120. That's where you should establish your edge geometry. You're not really grinding anymore.
So we're talking about thinning.
Thinning the blade, right? So, like taking metal off the complete sides of the knife. All right. More steel is taking off the bottom than the top, but you want to blend it all in so it looks nice. So you establish that thickness with your 80 and 120. Then the rest of the time you go up, it's about fit and finish, right? You want it to look good. So I already put an edge on there with the 120, and now I'm just putting it on there with the, making it a little bit finer. All right, so now what I'll do.
So you did like hardly any passes to get an edge. You're just like boom.
Yeah, it's one edge. That's why you have this. You know?
This is gorgeous. For those of you guys who weren't paying attention earlier, I mean, he literally took metal off. There were scratches from the other user. Definitely the color of the blade itself has changed dramatically. Yes, he took away material, but dang, there's no edge and it looks amazing. And if you've seen this guy's working on Facebook, you already know it's gonna be like ridiculous.
So what I'll do, I'm gonna put it in an acid bath.
Okay.
So ferric chloride. Don't let it sit in here too long, or you're gonna get some real corrosion. But 5 minutes is generally enough.
So you just pick, what's this called again?
Ferric chloride.
Ferric chloride at your local Lowe's?
Well, Radio Shack used to sell it, and they're closed. So let that sit in a little bit. Now probably even, all right, so ready? So like, even the first like couple seconds, all right, it's already getting, you can see it's already getting
So the
there.
point of this is to bring out the pattern?
Correct. So what's that Damascus made of? I think it's like a nickel alloy. I'm speaking wrong, so I don't even know if that's true. It's generally 410 and a nickel alloy, and it's the nickel in it that it brings out, really.
But I'm just pointing out the fact that this is part of the service that I didn't expect you to do.
Yeah. Just for, I've honestly, until like 2 weeks ago, both of these were upright. We just adjusted it to put it vertical, just to see if it's a little easier for deburring and making, so you can really see them.
Okay, you've got scissor sharpening, and I'm a hairdresser, and
We'll look at that later.
that's precise. So,
All right,
what is he going to be doing for you?
He's going to be sharpening this order. So customers are waiting around. Time is short. It's 5 o'clock. Can't believe it's. All right, so
We came out of the acid.
yeah. So there you go.
Oh
So that's
my
how
God.
it's looking, right? So you can see this nice flatting line here, that distinct line, and the pattern's the way it goes. They always has this wavy pattern, right? That's just kind of how the billets are made. Now this is almost done. So I used to leave them looking like this, but it's like this. This finish creates drag. All right, this rough knitting is like bad for food release. So what I do, all right, am I done with this? Yeah, that's good. All right, so. Also important, cover the acid. We had one spill one time. It was not good.
Uric acid expensive.
Nah, I think, you know why Radio Shack sells them? It's something you apply to microchips and it's able to, you can trace like the fucking circuits or whatever.
So what belt is this?
Alright, so this is a Scotch-Brite finishing belt. It's just sort of an abrasive finishing belt. Yeah, so then you kind of like it's now it's not as rough too. It's smooth. It'll help lift the food release, right? It just
Right.
and it fucking looks nice. You know what I mean? Like it looks pretty. It looks killer. So you know, I think the one thing, the graniteds are a little bit uneven on this side, but such is the way it goes. The next time you have to thin it out, they'll all be gone. So at least you have some on one side for one time. So now I just did a 240 belt edge. So what I can do is we'll talk about this platen too.
So that has been deburned?
Nope. So 45 micron is generally good. Sometimes you don't get it the first time.
Is the belt he's working on, the belt going away from him?
Always away. Always away. All right, so felt belt. Get the blue. Get the blue. The special blue is the best.
Made for you?
No, but I only know one guy who sells it.
Okay.
So probably want me to tell you, Alex Lee of, we can edit it, I forget his company, Sheer Magic, or he's a stylist too.
Okay.
Yeah, Alex Lee. But he gets this stuff. And I've used them all, and
The CBN kind of
something like that.
carbon monoxide. You're using this on the edge.
So now final edge, I'm deburring the edge. I just did a 45 micron on the final edge. You can take it up higher, but like the 45, it's not overly polished, so it's a little bit toothy, and I kind of like that. Three-finger test of sharpness. How are you testing your sharpness? Three-finger test of sharpness. The old Carter method. It's the only way. For a quick thing, okay, it's like, all right, do a thing. Right, like you can tell right away.
You just feel it though. It's a feel.
It's just experience, man.
It's not a fingernail. It's not a.
Your fingernail doesn't have any nerves in it. You can't tell, right? Yeah, there's levels of sharpness. Like a somewhat sharp knife will go into your nail,
Right.
But your fingers are gonna tell you, oh, whoa! It's just like right. Your brain won't allow you to cut yourself. There's probably more than enough time.
It's just regular leather now.
I think so. I had a buddy of mine make this. Well, he was a strop maker.
He didn't have any compound on it.
Rested, so yeah, he made it. There is some on here. I put some blue on there. Okay. And plus, but now it's all blacks just from like from use. I try to clean this once a week.
Right.
Like out of blue towels. Where are my blue towels at?
Slice of paper towels now.
That's quite the challenge, you know.
I can do it. Wet paper towels is really good.
Wet paper towel. Yeah. There you go. There you go. Yep.
Looks like a new knife. I personally am not a fan of the dimples inside, and I found that scientifically, America's Test Kitchen said that it does not help it to relieve food fat, you know? So it was the thought.
As long as people believe it does, then it does.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So when the person gets this knife given to them, how do we store it? How do we give it to them?
I literally built this shop around this paper cutter. I'm not even joking. This is like the most important part. A little cardstock, cut it to size. Fold it 3 times. Paper clip.
Beautiful.
Where's her tag? Right here. See, we don't take sheets because we always forget. I'm in such a habit of just sheathing them, I always forget that I have the sheets. In this case, here we go.
started recording, so let's tell the customers what's going on. We just sold a knife.
Just sold a town cutler knife. These guys are out of Reno, really good work, American company. These are CNC'd.
So you're just making sure the customer gets some special edge.
Yeah, fresh edge on there for them.
Very nice.
You know, they lose sharpness out of, like, you know, shipping and boxing, you know, so.
Nice. That's good customer service right there, folks.
You can't sell a dull knife.
No.
It's like selling a car without any gas.
You could. You could. It'd be difficult.
Right?
Get a picture of this wrapping here. Oh. That's so nice. I would left it. So what is your expected turnaround time for one knife sharpening? Like, what do you expect?
We generally say like an hour or two, but it could be like 20 minutes. But if we say like it's an hour, it cuts with some leeway, right? It's better to like under-promise and over-deliver.
But as far as the actual physical sharpening, what do you think to sharpen the one knife?
I mean, I just sharpened this knife. It probably took me like 90 seconds.
That's what I. That's
You know
what.
what I mean?
That's more what I thought. Yeah. So, what knives get the whetstone?
You know, so I was gonna do this Takamura on a whetstone, right? I pulled it off the board. Oh, let me sharpen it up real quick. But it had a chip in it.
Okay, yeah.
So like, if I can grind the chip out on the belt, well, I've already established the edge. So like, why go for here and take all the effort and then like try to? I can match the angle. I'm pretty good at that. But like, why do that? I can just do like 2 more passes and I'm done. And it's literally the same thing. Like it's. I'm sure the belt versus stone crowd. I'm sure that exists, but like, if you know what you're doing, you're not going to ruin the temper.
I agree.
You know what I mean? Like, if you have light pressure, it's fine. And here's how I justify it when people ask: is that like, I can do 500 strokes on a stone trying to maintain the angle. I can do 4 passes on a belt. Which one's going to have the more precise edge, right?
Yeah.
Now you'll see, I'm pretty decent at stone, and I hold a decent. I can hold the angle. But like, why do I want to go through all that? Just put an edge on it, buff it out. So felt belt I use. This is a felt belt. I used to use a leather. All right, I got a leather here. So I was always using leather. You know the problem with leather? Stretches.
Yes.
Okay. So suddenly my machines were getting all rattly and blah, 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 blah. What is going on here? And I just didn't realize that this is tension, right? So it stretches these belts. But now this felt, you can load it up with compound, and it lasts like 1,000,000 times longer than the leather. I don't even use the leather anymore.
So if I want to buy one of these, is this like your standard Home Depot, Lowe's kind of a thing?
Yeah, it's like $200 grinder. It's not even special whatsoever in the knife world. But I legit can make make all my knives. I just invested in a new grinder though. TW90 is coming. I just finally did it. A lot of people ask me for handle work, right?
Okay.
I need to do some handle work. But it fucking sucks using this. I'm using this and a Dremel. And I've gotten really good results, right? Like, sort of know what I'm doing. But I'm just ready to... I should have nice tools. What the hell, man? Professionally.
So, I'm going to flip.
Some customers.
Okay, because that's what I was going to... He's working there, so I was going to follow defense.
So my question would be for you, Dylan. Hey guys, this is Dylan. Dylan is an apprentice here. I'm wondering what that entails. What does that mean to us?
What does that mean? Well, the first thing that means is like you have to, I'm kind of responsible for the little things and also learning how to be a cutler. The little things include keep the shop clean, make sure that there's free of dust, make sure that we're not slipping on paper on the floor. So a lot of what I do...
Taking care of the people behind you?
Take care of the people behind me. But yeah.
You actually do this yet?
Yes. No, a lot of times, sometimes it's just me here, and I'm responsible for, sometimes it's just me here, and I'm responsible for taking customers in, helping them pick out a knife, like Chad is doing, and then also sharpening those knives and getting them to them, in a reasonable amount of time. But what I'm learning is everything that he was just telling you about. How this and this are essentially the same thing, but it's a different skill set.
And so you're proficient on all this right now, or?
I'm good enough. I'm good enough to get it out the door.
Very good.
Obviously, I'm not at his level. He's been doing it a lot longer than I have. So
Does he have to check your work before he goes out the door?
he used to like really make sure to check them all, but now I'm trusted to make sure that it's good enough. It's good enough for our level of quality. If there's a blade or something that I'm not comfortable doing, I just have to tell the customer, hey, the director is either not here right now, he'll be back later, he'll be back tomorrow. And then, so I do not take any projects on that I'm not comfortable with.
That sounds awesome.
I'm not comfortable thinning out blades yet. I'm still working on that, practicing on that. But yeah, if a customer comes in, I just tell them, like, okay, we're going to have to keep them for a day or two, and we'll have Ryan come and take care of it.
Very good. All right, guys, this is Chad. Say hi to Chad.
Hello.
So, how long you been with Ryan in the shop, and what's your position here?
I've been here, is it almost 4 years? 5 years?
I think you're on 5 years, bro.
5 years.
Okay.
And I sell knives.
You're not an apprentice. You're full-fledged.
Yeah, I'm not a sharpener by trade.
Okay.
In fact, I sometimes they will sharpen my knives, but I stay out here and I talk to people and help inform them about what they want in a knife. And people come in and say, "What's the best knife you've got?"
Right.
There's no such thing.
No such thing.
There is the more or less appropriate knife for what you're using and what you're doing with it.
See, you have this in-grain board out here. Is this a community board that we're using?
Yeah, this is kind of our staging area. When people have questions, I try to lay out their options so that they can kind of get a feel.
But we're not
for
over
it.
here cutting paper and tomatoes and sacrificing to the knife gods.
We try to keep people from trying to cut things, especially later on in the afternoon after they've had a few. It's just hard, it's just expensive Band-Aid wise for us.
Yes.
So we lay them out here. We particularly try to keep people from using the carbon steel to cut things because then it starts to develop a patina. It's harder to clean up afterwards.
There you go, folks. He spends most of his time in this workspace that we shared with you in the tour. So I have the man here. He has definitely spent an entire day in this heaven of metallurgy. And we just have a couple of questions, which is, so you were on your way to like NBA basketball player,
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Fishing Hall of Fame.
So then, squirrel!
That's
You
right.
saw a knife. Well, how did it happen? Like,
Yeah, my brother, I was living in Boston at the time. My brother Jared was living down here, started this small little sharpening business. He calls me out of the blue, says, "Hey, want to help me down in DC sharpening knives?" And I'm like, I don't really know anything about knives, but like, okay, that sounds fun. So I came down for the week and just sort of like watched some videos, okay, like doing whetstone sharpening. And we popped up here where we are now for this market. It just reopened, rebranded. And we had a little table with some whetstones, and we're pretty good. It's on there. It's pretty good, And
how long ago was that?
2012. So I think that was like September, October 2012.
13 years ago.
9 years. Okay, 8 years. Okay, I'm sorry. It'll be 9 years in September.
Long day.
Yeah. So we had so many orders and so many knives and like so much business. We're like, okay, maybe this is a thing. So I decided to like stop what I was doing up there, sold all my worldly possessions. It's a true story. I legit like sold my house.
Were you married with children at the time?
Nope, single dude.
And then, of course, you were sexy because of knives, so that's how you got the wife.
Yeah. I have a very, very beautiful wife. So I am a lucky man there. And that was 8 years ago. The rest is history. We sort of just like.
So you went from a table with whetstones to now you have this space. You've occupied this space itself how long? And was it smaller, or did you have all?
Yeah, so none of this was built out. We basically had like some tables, which they provided, tables and cages, and like for security. And we weren't selling knives at the time. Then like, okay, we started getting a few knives, and then we started selling. And we started getting some higher end knives, and they started selling. And we're like, okay, again. So it's like each breakthrough was like, maybe this is a thing, maybe this is a thing, maybe this can happen. And then, did some training with some people for scissors, for knives. And again, this was all whetstone. So like before I even got my first grinder, like I did 2 years, almost 3 years of just whetstone only. And like I look back at that now, being like, how did I ever make it? You know what I mean? Like,
I agree. Because I watched you work tonight. I'm a whetstone only guy. I'm not proficient on the machinery, and you just can put out this amazing work really fast. I was concerned about things like heat treatment when you taught me. I heard that people held the knife on. I wasn't sure about it messing up the heat. The ice bath idea, if you guys didn't see the video, check it out in different places. But Mark gets an ice bath, always cool, to ready to cool that knife. I can tell this place is just lived in. Like, experience built this place. It would be hard to recreate it. I don't know that other people's workspaces have everything that you have. Was it just like education, self-education made this, or like maybe when you were visiting some places, your apprentice, you saw a thing and said, let me try that, or?
It was more sort of like assembly line process. So like, all right, we can like start grinding on one grinder, leather strop on the next grinder, buffet wheel next. Then it goes to like put it in the sheathing station. Like I legit built this shop around my little paper cutter. I told you, my little paper cutter that I
I don't know that we have video of it, but he has a paper cutter that he pulls out, cardstock. He's able to like cut it to the size and make a sheet to send it home so people don't hurt themselves. And the idea that this entire space was built around that paper cutter. You know, it's great.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
I looked at those cards to buy them to be made. And so that was really
that's just the cost you don't know, and there's so many different types of knives out there that you're gonna find one that don't fit, so you're gonna have to make a sheath for it anyway. So it legit doesn't take that much time. It takes time when you're doing kind of volume like we do. But again, it's the quickest, most efficient way. And you can see the paper roll and the stickers and what we keep it. So it's sort of like you're doing high volume, you want to be efficient. That's the name of the game, efficiency. You don't want to stay on one thing forever. So you make it work fast. Get them in, get them out, have customers.
So a couple more questions before we go. So I'm going to ask, like, you evolved from not knowing to sharpening to being a store owner, selling retail. But then we also noticed in the video earlier that you made some knives. And so you've evolved to that point. You're having fun making knives now.
Yeah, I wish I could get into it more. But again, it's a small shop or small family business. I've got a couple of trustworthy employees. So I'm busy running the shop, you know what I mean? Like it's just on my off days, I'm doing some handle work. I've got 2 young kids at home, so which I try to spend as much time as I can with. But
he gave up time, and I apologize to the boys when they watch this later. He gave up time to spend it with me. I appreciate that.
Dad, too, you're at home right now. I know you drove down from Boston. You're retired now, and you're at home waiting for me. I'll be home shortly.
Okay, so the last couple questions that people have asked me to ask you: do you have a favorite knife that you own, and what's the knife that got away with it? The one that you wished you had? Or the knife that you
I wanted to bring my knives from home and I completely forgot. So as you know, I've said like I'm a big fan of Murray Carter Cutlery. Like I just like his work ethic. I like his knives. I like his heat treat.
We have Apprentice stuff in here.
Yeah, I got his Kentucky. I've got his former stuff. I've got a couple of nice Carters right now. And honestly, like that's probably the best knife in my shop. If I can I blow it out real quick? Is that all right?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
If I can find my keys or am I locked up? Okay.
All right, so they're under lock and key.
Yeah.
If you guys have any ideas out there. Should we do a paper towel test?
It's probably pretty sharp. It could probably be honed, but again.
So there is
goddamn. So
there is a Damascus softly in there that if you didn't focus to see it, you would see it. It would look like just flat and shiny.
Now this is his own Damascus too, so he's forging this Damascus, then inserting the core of white steel #1. Just ridiculous handles. And we were talking earlier about heat treat, right? Like what makes the smith is the heat treat. All right, so Carter's heat treat. You want to get an appreciation for knives and the quality of it. You have to sharpen them. All right, like once you put them on the stone and you appreciate the edge that they'll take. That's how you know like the quality of the smith, how well the edge is going to take, how it's going to hold that edge. But then re-sharpened, right? Like you don't want a knife that's so hard. Some of these ridiculous powdered metallurgy knives, like they're ridiculous HRCs. Like if it takes a lot to re-sharpen it, it's sort of like a negative thing in my opinion, right? You don't want to have to like do a fucking lot of work right up front. So it's the idea you can just put it on a fine stone, even a piece of leather sometimes. Like leather and some compound. couple of drops, and it just comes back to this like ridiculous sharpness. Now this needs to be sharpened. That's fine. It's not. That's expected. But you just know when you're dealing with a mastersmith like this that it's going to be heat treated properly, right? It's going to always successfully pass the test of like, okay, a few strokes on there, and it's just going to be ridiculous. So if I have to road, I mean, I got some Shirakis here, and Shiraki is he's using weight number 1, 2, and that's ridiculous. But Yanagis are a whole different animal, right? You want something that's easy to maintain. Yanagis are generally take a certain skill level to maintain.
So then the other question was, what's the knife that got away? You either owned it or had it and sold it, which you kept it?
A couple of Matsumoto Honyaki blades in blue steel, like 240 Yuto Honyakis.
Right, but what is that? A couple of grand?
I don't know. It was in for sharpening, and I was like, damn. A couple Raider knives. He's a American mastersmith.
Okay.
Ridiculous performance, ridiculous heat treat. Just like I see a lot of gems, right? I see a lot of just regular Woodstoffer angles and whatever. But every now and then these gems come in, and you're just like, damn. Blenheim Forge, really nice products. I had a Bloodroot blade actually came in 2 weeks ago, and I was like, I'm not a dude who covets things. I'm not like,
right, and you get to play with them,
right?
But maybe
that's enough, and maybe I take it for granted, right?
It's like you can drive the Ferrari without owning the Ferrari, and it's enough that you don't own the Ferrari that you get to occasionally drive the Ferrari.
That Matsumoto Honyaki though, dude, it's just like.
So for anybody watching who doesn't know this word, Honyaki, it's on my dream list. If you know me, you know I got a lot of knives last year, 20 knives for 2020. I got several knives already this year. But Honyakis, like I'm almost ready to maybe sell some knives to get a Honyaki. So Honyaki is a steel where people use the term monosteel. It doesn't necessarily, it does, but it means that the entire blade is just this one metal. It's not cladded, it's not sandwiched by something else. So it's hard to work with and keep it intact, and the shape and the shine and just every single thing that there is to know about this Honyaki blade.
It has to be full.
They cost a lot more, and so it's definitely something to have. So thanks for watching the channel. We have definitely had a blast. We have so much footage. You haven't seen this. I don't know if it's coming after this interview, before.
Rough cuts. We can do the unedited director's cut.
Right. I mean, we definitely have some bloopers here and there.
Right.
You guys are going to notice a lot of fidgeting with the camera. I even had to give a break in the middle. I apologize for that. I had a blast in DC. It's been great to host me here. And I get to go home and edit this week, so I look forward to sharing this for a couple of videos.
Yeah, it is
So maybe we'll make the dad proud.
We've been recording since like.
I mean, it's on and on. So again, we definitely think this was not a dull moment for you. It definitely wasn't a dull moment for us. Please keep watching. Send it to your friends. Share. Like this video. Please leave in the comments something. Questions for Ryan, questions for myself. I'll make sure that he gets them. Any questions he asks that I can't answer, I'll definitely hit him up. If you are in the area of Washington, D.C., or even if you're not, make the trip. District Cutlery is in a shopping center.
Yep, Union Market, unionmarket.com, Union Market DC, districtcutlery.com. We've got all of our wares on our website.
And just so you know, like he took me on a tour to get some food. Ridiculous food. So it's not just the knives, the food is great, but he turned me on to smoked mussels. Ridiculous.
Yeah, ridiculous.
So I appreciate that. So we had a blast. Again, thank you for watching. God bless.
Thank you. It was really good.